of FICCI Ladies Organization, I, Gunjan Sindhi, Honorary Secretary, would like to extend a warm welcome to our multifaceted, proficient guest, Mr. Ankur Wariko. Our esteemed members, we would now like to request everybody to rise for the national anthem, please.
Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkal Vanga Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Uchchal Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mage Gahe Tava Jaya Gatha Jana Gana Mangal Dayak Jaya Hi Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya Hi Jaya Hi Jaya
I request our illustrious guest speaker, Mr. Ankur Wariko, Chairperson Ms. Sonali Saraf, Chairperson Y-Flow, Ms. Aarti Shah, to please join for lighting of the lamp. Executive Committee, please prepare for a picture.
Friends, it is my pleasure to introduce to you an exceptional individual, Mr. Ankur Warikoo, an Indian YouTuber, entrepreneur, author, educator, and is one of India's top content creators. His aim through his content is to make sure all the choices you make in life come from a point of awareness and not ignorance. He is the former CEO of Groupon India and co-founder and former CEO of Nearby.com and is currently working on an education startup. His first book, Do Epic Shit, went on to hit #1 in India. His second book, Get Epic Shit Done, also hit #1 in India. He is already working on his third book on money. Ankur is an active angel investor in 30 plus companies and loves to spend time with these first-time entrepreneurs, mentoring them. He, being an awareness speaker, has inspired millions of people and has more than 1 million followers across all popular social media platforms. No one definition fits him. He's been doing something unique and purpose-driven during every phase of his life. Friends, please join me in giving him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Rekha. Requesting our guest, Mr. Ankur Wariko, and our chairperson, Ms. Shubhra Maheshwari, to grace the dais. I now request Ms. Shubhra Maheshwari to felicitate our speaker with flow memento. Chairperson Shubhra Maheshwari will address this gathering.
Good morning, and after the long wait, I wouldn't take much of your time. Do not judge me by my success. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got up again and bounced back, said Nelson Mandela. Everyone who's achieved success in life has a story to tell, an event that forever altered their lives and shaped who they are today. An event or incident that gave them the guts and the motivation to fulfill their life ambitions and goals. The path to success is never easy. It's a tiresome, persistent process that can keep us awake many a night. Mr. Ankur Wariko has helped countless entrepreneurs who are aspiring and helped them to realize their dreams. He's an extraordinary educator, mentor, providing practical advice and tips which include how to deal with failure, importance of perseverance, and the need to embrace uncertainty and take calculated risk. In other words, he says, you must do epic shit to come out successful. Before we get into the session, I would like to announce that we have facilitated knowledge collaborations with IKP Knowledge Park, Narsi Munji Institute of Management Sciences, and World Trade Center Shamshabad and Vizag. We've also generated business to the tune of 2.5 crores for 3 floor members towards the design, production, and distribution of 70,000 saris for ASHA and A&M workers across Telangana. This business had happened only through these knowledge collaborations. It happened through VHub, and it was a journey of about 2.5 years. The orders, our floor members got these orders from the government. They've executed successfully, and they've received their 100% payment, thereby making it one of the most successful business transactions that's happened at Flow for floor members through Flow. Empowerment team has been working hard to create these kind of opportunities for our members to expand knowledge as well as their businesses. Whatever little empowerment team brings your way, we always think we're a large organization, but even if 5 members enroll for an empowerment program, we feel we have done justice, because that is the ethos of Flow. If we can help you in your business, that is where we are happy. I can get you a huge amount and huge number of big celeb speakers, but at the end of the day, we all have to excel in our own businesses. So make use of the empowerment initiatives. They are really helpful for your businesses, and there is a plethora of activities being undertaken by them. We also have a few exciting programs coming up. I'm keeping you all very busy. Please bear and please enjoy also. March 19th, Sunday, we are installing and inaugurating a pylon at the KBR Park entrance as a symbol of Flow's 20 plus years working towards women empowerment. Our mayor, Honorable Srimati Ms. Vijayalakshmi Gadwal, would be inaugurating along with a lot of dignitaries and past chairpersons. On March 21st, that's the creative. You will get it on your mobiles also today, and all those of you who wish to come and see and feel a little bit more connected to the organization, please do drop by. It's right on the main road. And can I have the next slide? On March 21st, we have organized a day trip to Delhi for a visit to the Parliament House to provide an opportunity to our members to learn about the legislative process and observe the workings of government in action. I started working on this in September. It's taken us 6 months. I had given up midway. My retreat head took it forward. The itinerary will include attending a live parliament session, meet and greet with the Speaker of the House, Shri Om Birla Ji, tour of the Parliament building, a visit to the Prime Minister Museum, a proposed visit to the President House, and if we all are mutually lucky, then maybe meeting Ms. Draupadi Murmu as well. We are excited for these and more programs to come. And yes, we got 140 registrations in the 30 minutes of opening that Google form. So we are taking in some 75 members from Hyderabad. It's a day trip. We are excited for these and more programs to come. The journey of 1,000 miles begin with a single step. So let's continue this journey together, because she is. Thank you. So welcome to Flow Hyderabad, Ankur.
Thank you. It's a pleasure
to be
here.
It was on my list when I started preparing for my term to have you. And thanks that you've come, but at least at the end of my term.
Yeah, I'm told next week is the baton pink past.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank
And if you go back and see, one of the first few speakers who got my mail was you, December 21.
Yes.
So you've had a remarkable journey in life, jumping from one area of expertise to another, unrelated paths. Can you tell us about your life, experiences, childhood, education, business profiles, and how did from there you reached books, authoring?
It's a long journey. Firstly, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be in Hyderabad. This is where I studied the 1 year that I was at ISB, the 1 year that completely changed my life. And it's a very, very dear city to me. If you study at ISB, you actually do not study at Hyderabad because that campus itself is such a cocoon where you believe that's the entire world and there's nothing outside of it. But I often come back to Hyderabad largely because of ISB, now because of several other initiatives. And it's such a joy to be in this city, which has given me a lot. Thank you for showing up on a Saturday morning. I recognize it's never easy. And you are here, and I value my time immensely. It's frankly the only thing I care about in life. So for anybody to give me time, I take it as the highest honor. Thank you so much for that. Thanks a lot. It means a lot. I do not know how much you know about me, and I will not assume that you know anything about me because that will be pompous. I would love to tell you a little bit about my life, and Shubhra, if you can allow me a few minutes of that time, this is going to be perhaps a long response. I belong to Kashmir. We grew up in Delhi. I never stayed in Kashmir. My parents grew up there. Come from a very, very middle-class family. My dad worked in the sales and marketing division of a pharma company for all his life. My mom was a local primary school teacher. There was nothing in our family that was special, nothing that set us apart from anyone else. Millions of the middle-class families that you would come across in India every single day. And there was nothing special about us in particular as well. We're not bestowed with any IQ or anything like that. Well, we are average smart, but there's nothing that sets us apart. But in the middle of all of that, growing up in the quintessential middle-class 1980s, 1990s India, I had a very, very different ambition for my life. And a very audacious ambition for my life. And it was to go to the US to get a PhD. I always wanted to become a scientist. It was to join NASA as my place of work. I actually wanted to become a space scientist. And as a space scientist working at NASA, my only holy grail in life was to finally be on Mars. This is before Elon Musk has come into the picture. I've not been polluted by even Shah Rukh Khan in the movie Swades, who came back as a NASA scientist. Nothing like that. True middle-class ambition to be in the US, get a fine education, change the life of not just myself, but the family as well. And I went to the US. I got through Michigan State University for its PhD program in astrophysics on a 100% scholarship, which was frankly the only way we could have afforded it. And when I went to the US and I spent 2 years there, I realized, much to my disappointment, that physics, which is what I was doing, was something that I was exceptionally good at, but it didn't make me happy. And that was a shocking revelation because all my life I had been taught and trained कि जिस चीज़ को करने में तुम अच्छे हो, उस चीज़ को करने में तुम automatically खुश हो जाते हो. But that is not true, and I hope most of you who have lived life long enough recognize this. And this is a very important lesson to be bestowed to the next generation as well, that what you are good at and what makes you happy could be two very different things in life. When I realized that, it broke my heart and it broke my world because now I had nothing to do. And much to my parents' disappointment, for that matter, everyone who knew me, I decided to drop out of my PhD program and come back to India. And today when I speak to an audience, usually audience in their 20s who are growing up in a very different India than we grew up in, they are all like, oh my God, everyone we know who's successful has dropped out of something. So you must be really cool too. Like dropping out is like a cool thing now. But back in 2004, dropping out of an education when you were on a 100% scholarship, doing well, top of your class, in the university you wanted to go to, doing the program you wanted to do too, most likely, ladki ka chakkar hai. And it didn't help that I had a girlfriend at that point of time. So my parents were completely convinced that this is not the best decision for me. And frankly, I even didn't know whether it would turn out to me the way it has. And I was completely confused in life. And my friends were like, you are confused, so why don't you do what most confused people do? Go get an MBA. And And that's when I happened to come across ISB. It was not what it is today. ISB was a 5-year-old school back then. Insanely expensive program, a completely new phenomena of a 1-year MBA in a completely random place called Gachibowli in Hyderabad, where there was nothing except an Infosys campus and a Microsoft campus. And this jungle and jungle as far as you could see. Took you 1 hour from any airport to reach that place within Hyderabad itself. But something told me that the gamble would work out, and I did, and I'm so glad that I did, because that 1 year just fundamentally changed my life. And then I became a consultant. I did that for 3 years. And as luck would have it, which is the story of my life, I'm just right place at right time kind of a guy. I happened to meet a friend of mine from ISB, same batch. And he's like, I've started this new website and I wanted to talk to you about it. I said, sure, what's it called? And he said, it's called secondshadi.com. And I was like, kya ye wahi hai jo mujhe lag raha hai ye hai? And he was like, हाँ man, it's a matrimonial website for remarriages. There's so many people who get married in India. There are bound to be people who get divorced and widowed. This is a platform for them to get married again. And I was like, that is such an incredible idea. How did you think about it? He's like, no, my dad thought about this. That story apart, I offered to help him along with my day job in consulting, and he was very gracious. He said, sure, let's do that. And I did that for a year and a half, and then it became of a size and scale where now it required my full-time attention. So I quit my consulting job, took a massive pay cut, joined Second Shadi, much again to my parents' shock and disappointment. Like, तुम्हारी खुद की शादी हुई नहीं है, तुम्हें कोई idea नहीं है कि शादी क्या होती है. तुम consulting की नौकरी छोड़ के लोगों की दूसरी शादियाँ करवाने के लिए जा रहे हो. Like, how does it make sense? कहाँ की समझदारी है? And it was a crazy ride. We built several other websites. The big one of that became Gaadi.com. This is 2009. Starting up was nearly not as cool as it is today. Like today, when you start up, like, oh. Yeah. Back then, when you started up, it's like, naukri nahi mili. So that's the only option you have. Or you come from a business family where it's already set up and it's in your DNA that you get that done. None of that belonged to me. And very different era, very different world. The internet is just becoming a thing in this country. And we did that. Long story short, I had the opportunity to build several startups in the last decade, which was perhaps the most exciting decade for this country because it set the foundation up for what the world will witness in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. And I've been a wonderful part of it in the sense that I've got to learn so much from my mistakes and everything that I've done. And in 2019, the startup that I was running was called Nearby.com. And I had started it in 2015. It was funded by Sequoia. It then got funded by Paytm. We became a Paytm company. And we became profitable for the first time in 4 years in 2019. And at that point of time, I felt that I would feel like this is the start of my journey. Like, startup खोला है, 4 साल बाद profitable बने हैं, अब तो journey शुरू हुई है. Funny enough, I felt exactly the opposite. I felt कि मेरा वक्त खत्म हो चुका है. I felt that I'd spent 8-9 years in this industry, building Groupon, building Nearby. I had a wonderful team that I was proud of, a brilliant culture that I thought could withstand even the hardest of times. And I felt like my presence there at Nearby would not materially change the outcome of Nearby. And that meant there was a massive opportunity cost on my time. So I decided to take a 3-month break. The end of 2019, I stepped down as the CEO of my own startup and figure out what I wanted to do next in life. And in those 3 months, March 2020 happened. And that's it. The world went for a spin. Everything that we knew about ourselves and the world went for a toss. We had to reimagine, rediscover every single thing. And I had to do the same at the age of 40, start all over again and figure out life. And here I am today creating content for the generation that is there in their 20s, because I fundamentally believe in the future of this country. I'm very long on India, and I believe we're set up for immense success that is unprecedented and the world has never seen before and will witness in the next 5 decades. And I feel that if any dent could be made in the 300 million people who will join the workforce the next decade, that will set this up for success in a wild, wild way. And I just want to make sure I play a small part in that dent, whatever that dent is, in just making this generation ready for life, which I feel school and college does such a poor job of. And most parents also, for no fault of theirs, tend to just tell them what to do, but not how to do what to do. So it just becomes chaos. And I was reading this yesterday, and it beautifully summed up the last 40 years that our generation, and I would, include all of us in the same generation, irrespective of the age gaps, our generation suffered because of scarcity. We suffered because there were limited options and there were enough and more demand. This generation is suffering from abundance. There are so many options that they're completely clueless what to do. And somebody ought to then hold the light and say, not, this is right, this is wrong, this is where you have to go, this is not where you have to go, but instead, wherever you go, you always have to have a reason of why you're doing that. And as long as you have that reason, you're true to yourself. So today, I am having the joy and absolute time of my life. I have a brilliant team. I love creating content. I love teaching. That's in my core. And I work for less than 20 hours a week. I make more money than I know how to spend. And I pinch myself genuinely every single day that I get to play this role. And I'm so grateful that all of you have spent your time listening to the story. Thank you.
And it was so interesting. It was so interesting. Trust me. I was reading the story of this Zepto. So my household is running on Zepto this year while I'm busy here. So my mates keep Zeptoing. And I was just reading and I realized that those are two boys, 19-year-old Stanford dropouts. मतलब parents ने पहले तो लगाया होगा कि तुम गए क्यों थे? And then they drop out and they make this thing. So
it's just crazy. The country is going through a massive revolution. It's going to be exciting.
But many a times as humans, we tend to get contented in our comfort zone. I'm very happy with the business that I'm doing in my practice. Professional, personal, all the life, I'm content. But then how do we realize that we are getting into that comfort zone and how do I get out of it and do that epic shit that you talk about?
I have a slightly different take on this, and the take is and I'm sorry if I offend someone when I say this, I genuinely don't believe there is any purpose to life. I don't think we were planted on this planet for any purpose. If you believe so, great, good for you. I don't believe so. मुझे लगता है कि हम बस ऐसे ही randomly आ गए, randomly मर जाएंगे, और जब हम मर जाएंगे 20-30 साल बाद पूरी दुनिया हमें भूल चुकी होगी, हमारी कोई remembrance नहीं होगी, कोई कायनात नहीं है, कोई वजूद नहीं है, and life just continues. So then the question is, if this is purposeless, and at least I think so it is, then what do you do about it? Like, we have these 60, 70, 80 years to live. How do you? And my only objective is, and I'm sure all of you in some way have seen this movie, Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge? Yeah? Is there anybody who hasn't? Maybe the younger crowd. Have you, dude? You haven't? I mean, like, पता नहीं कौन सी movie की बात कर रहे हैं. शाहरुख खान के बारे में पता है? हाँ, ठीक है. वही रह लेना, ठीक है. But कभी अगर मौका मिले तो देख लेना. जब प्यार हो जाएगा ना तो पक्का देखना. It'll teach you a lot of what to do and what not to do. But DDLJ, for all those who have seen it, and it's a seminal movie for our time, like it defined an entire generation in some way. उसमें एक बहुत खूबसूरत सा सीन है जो आप लोगों को याद नहीं होगा क्योंकि बहुत इमटेरियल सा सीन था, बट मेरे जहन में कहीं ना कहीं बस गया वो सीन कि सिमरन के पिताजी ज़बरदस्ती सिमरन को वापस गांव ले आते हैं एंड अचानक से सिमरन की दादी की तबीयत खराब हो जाती है एंड शी इज़ लाइक यार जो शादी अब अगले हफ्ते होने वाली थी वो अब कल ही कर दो एंड शी इज़ lying on her bed, surrounded by her family members, everyone that she has loved and perhaps seen and raised with all her love and affection. And she says this beautiful dialogue, which I can close my eye and instantly remember whenever I want to. It's just in front of me always. She says, मैंने जिंदगी बहुत अच्छी जी है. And then she says several other things which are not important. And when she said that, I remember at that point of time telling myself, मुझे सिमरन की दादी बनना है. Like मेरी जिंदगी का सिर्फ यही एक पर्पस है कि जिस दिन मैं मर रहा हूँगा मेरे आसपास वो लोग हों जिन्हें मैं बहुत प्यार करता हूँ. मुझे घंटा फर्क पड़ता है कि सोशल मीडिया के फॉलोअर हैं नहीं हैं, कि फ्लो का कोई चैप्टर सुन रहा है नहीं सुन रहा है. Like all this is when I'm dead, not right now. Right now, pay attention. When I'm literally dying, उस समय पे मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता मेरे हाथ में कौन है, बस मेरा परिवार होना चाहिए. एंड आई नीड टू फील ओनली वन थिंग एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, मैंने जिंदगी बहुत अच्छी जी है. दैट्स इट. दैट इज इट. सो व्हेन यू आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, इट्स अ वेरी ऑनेस्ट क्वेश्चन. आई से, यू नो व्हाट, forget all this motivational garbage that keeps getting thrown at you. If you don't believe it, forget moksha, forget karma, forget everything else. The only thing you need to at the end of the day realize, are you happy? And are you going to be happy doing that? There is no regret. So if discomfort makes you happy, makes you joyous, gives you time to attend to different things in life, then there is no shame in that comfort. And there is no need for you to get up and fail, oh, how do I get out of my comfort zone? Screw that. There is no need for getting out of the comfort zone because very few people get happy in their comfortable zone. But if you're not happy in your comfort zone, and if you feel that there is a lot more that you can do, and every single day when you get up and you face yourself in the mirror and there is constantly something telling you, you can be more, and you can be happier doing that more, then go ahead and do that. And frankly, it doesn't need any external party to then tell you that, because you will just start feeling ashamed at yourself, looking into the mirror every single day, knowing that you could have done a lot more and you're not doing anything about it. So I genuinely believe the only thing that matters is the conversation you have with your own self every single day. Stop listening to anything and everything else. And I know I'm hypocritical when I say that because I create content for people to listen. But I also say this, there will come a time, if you are paying attention to my content, when my content becomes repetitive, it becomes boring, it becomes meaningless. And if that happens, congratulations, you have graduated. There are a lot of people who are saying, sir, aapka content bahut boring ho gaya hai, bahut repetitive ho gaya, aap same cheez baar-baar bolai ja rahe ho. And I tell them, आपकी 7वीं, 8वीं, 9वीं, 10वीं कक्षा में जो टीचर थी, वो आपको 7वीं कक्षा की चीज पढ़ाकर आपको 8वीं कक्षा भेज देती थी. That was the role of the teacher. I'm not your friend, I'm your teacher. Which means the day you find my content repetitive, you have actually graduated, move on. And please find another teacher. And I hope at some point of time that teacher becomes your own self, because that is truly the best teacher out there. So everything that I do is to genuinely get people to not hear me at some point of time. I don't want to have this crowd that stays with me forever, because I don't intend to stay with them forever. I just want to teach a class and then see them graduate, teach another, see them graduate, because there are enough and more millions of people who are waiting to enter that class, and that's how I do it. Long story short, and I tend to give very long answers, I'm sorry for that. Long story short is, please don't fall in the trap of what the world defines as success. क्योंकि दुनिया तो करती रहेगी. आपने जितने करोड़ों कमा लिए होंगे, दुनिया आपको बोलेगी कि इतने करोड़ आप और कमा सकते हैं. जितने नहीं कमाए होगी, दुनिया आपको बोलती रहेगी कि इतने करोड़ आप कमा सकते हैं. जितना आप नहीं करेंगे, दुनिया बोलेगी कि आपको करना चाहिए. जितना करेगी, दुनिया आपको बोलेंगे आपको इतना नहीं करना चाहिए. It's endless. There is no stopping what the world will tell you what to do and what not to do. So the only definition is the one that's inside. It's not the one that lies outside. It's the one that's inside. And I have been centered on that, and I can proudly say that I'm living that definition. I couldn't care too less about what the world thinks of me, because I am truly happy with myself and I keep pushing myself to whatever I want to do. But Simran ki dadi is my purpose, and I would love that to be everyone's.
That's sweet. And I'm a staunch follower of your content, so that means I'm in kindergarten probably, which is okay. I'm very happy to be there. And I'm loving your content. A lot of my members here are your strong followers. And you give it a lot of life hacks. But there are a lot of people who are not your followers as well. So give Fiki Flow Hyderabad top 5 life hacks for an entrepreneur and a woman entrepreneur.
I was at the Fiki Flow in Hyderabad. No, not in Hyderabad. I am in Hyderabad. This was in Kolkata, Ahmedabad actually. It was multiple chapters in Ahmedabad. And I was asked somewhat the same question. Three tips or hacks that you have for women entrepreneurs. I'll say the same thing that I said there. Stop asking men for advice for women. We will pretend we know, but we don't. And the mistake you're making is assuming that we can give you good advice, when the truth is we will always give you super shitty advice. Because we have no idea what it is to be you. We have no idea what it is to be you. I can offer support, I can offer understanding, I can offer, and I would love to offer empathy, but for me to be offering advice is just so full of myself, and I am always embarrassed when I am asked this question. I have no business giving women entrepreneurs any advice. I would love to give you advice as an entrepreneur, and some of it may apply to you, some of it may not apply to you, But then if he says, oh, but I am a woman entrepreneur, so how do I mold this to my gender? And I was like, I have no idea. And please don't be so unfair on yourself to assume that a male will tell you what a female could or could not do. It's not going to happen.
Let's redraft the question. Give us entrepreneurial
advice.
gyan.
And I am happy to give that. The only three things that matter for an entrepreneur, irrespective of gender, is number one, please recognize there is only one truth as a founder, the market. The market is the only truth. What do I mean by that? When was the last time you bought any service or product from a company because the founders went to IIT? Couldn't care less. When was the last time you bought a service or a product because the founders raised money from Sequoia or a top VC? Couldn't care less. When was the last time you bought a product or a service from a company because the founder has not taken a salary for the last 6 months and is struggling? Couldn't care less. Why would you not buy a product or a service from a company where the founders have been toppers all their life, gone to the best institutes? Couldn't care less. There's only one thing that matters. Are you building something for me that helps me in my life? And if yes, I might give you my money. If no, please go away. I have other things to do in life. That hits hard. It hits hard because in our culture particularly, we are so used to things happening to us because of where we have come from and what we have done in the past. But entrepreneurship is the only thing that bears it all. So I often say this, entrepreneurship is the most brutal form of self-discovery. You will truly get to know कि आपकी औकात क्या है. Doesn't matter आपने कहाँ पढ़ाई करी है, कितने नंबर आए थे, कितने पैसे रेस कर चुके हैं, कौन से खानदान से है, कौन किसको जानता है, कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता. The only thing that matters is, are you helping the market? And that means that's the only truth. There is no other truth. Pay attention to that. Number two, building a culture, a way of working, a way of how you look at things seems like something you can push to tomorrow. बाद में बना लेंगे कल्चर, पहले पैसा तो बना लें, जिंदगी जी लें, जिंदा तो रहें, कंपनी चलती रहे, बन गया तो फिर we will invest in offsites and all these lovely value messages on the walls and give all of this. My belief is a culture, a strong one at that, is necessary to be built from day one. It's not going to help your company grow, but when things are tough, when things go wrong, it's the only thing that will hold the ship together. And things will go wrong, inevitably. So every single founder that I speak to, I tell them it becomes your responsibility to build the culture of the organization from day one. And it needs to be an obvious conclusion in your head that that culture cannot be dissociated from who you are as a person. You as a personality will define the culture of the organization, irrespective of how hard you try otherwise. जो आप हैं, जो आपकी फितरत है, वही कंपनी का चाल भाव बनेगा. There cannot be a different way of doing it, because then you'll always be creating friction to resist what is the default at your end and what you would want the company to be. So if you do want the company to have a different culture from you, change yourself, not change the culture, which will be harder, but is the only way to art. So second, build the culture from day one, because that's the only thing that will hold you in good faith during hard times. And then number three, please don't make, and this is contrary to popular advice, don't make your business, your startup, your entire identity. If I ask you, what do you do? The most sorry answer you can give me is a designation at a company. Because that just means your entire identity is boiled down to just that. That's not how I would love any one of you to live life. You play a lot more roles. You are a mother, you are a daughter, you are a sister, you are a friend, you have multiple hobbies, you have multiple passions, you have multiple interests, and you should have. But if you then devote 100% and lay all your eggs in that one basket of your startup, and for whatever reason, even if it's successful, you don't find joy in it, you don't want to regret your entire life for it. That's such a pitiful situation to be in. So please make that as your mission, make that as your goal, make that as your interest, make that as your hobby, make that as your passion, but don't make it your entire life. Because the minute you do that, you'll be saying goodbye to a lot of more meaningful things, in my opinion, that should be experienced in life, should be felt in life, which you'll have to say goodbye to if it comes to a completely different order. That's what I would say. 3 things. I don't have 5. Only have 3. I always have 3. I always have 3.
I know you have 50. You're just being modest by giving us 3.
I always give 3 because 3 is the easily consumable number.
And you also give a lot of personality hacks. You know, the things that our parents have taught us since the childhood, but it didn't hit. But when Ankur says it does hit at times, jaldi utho, and your meditation in your health. But in a fast-paced life as today, the culture has changed, lifestyles have changed, we are out till midnight. How does your gyan fit into this kind of a generation?
The choice is yours. The only purpose that I have through my content is to make you aware. That's it. It's not to make you act. It's to make you aware so that you should know that having a sleep routine has positive effects. You should know that meditating has positive effects. You should know that physical exercise every day has positive effects. Now, whether you choose to do it or not is your call. And there will be a time when you won't be able to do it. There will be a time when you'll become that person. And that's perfectly your journey. That's your call. But you can't be living life saying, अरे मुझे पता ही नहीं था और किसी ने बोला ही नहीं कि meditation से इतनी सारी चीजें होती हैं. बोल तो देते. तो वो बस बोलने का मकसद मेरा है. That's it. I know it's hard. And I've gotten to a point where I have lived my life and orchestrated my life in such a beautiful way that I just love it. And I'm totally okay being very boring. I'm a very, very boring person because we all sleep at 9. We get up at 4:35. We have a nice routine. We don't have dinners. We don't go for dinner events. I usually have 1 meal a day and I fast for 20 hours or 18 hours. I don't feel drained out of energy or anything like that. I work out every day. I can eat the same thing every day. I can wear the same clothes every day, provided they're washed. But wear the same clothes every day, say the same things every day, do the same things every day. मुझे routine से बिल्कुल भी डर नहीं लगता है. And that's just how I am. That's my hard wiring, and it works for me. I recognize it doesn't. Like fun example is, मैं पिछले 18 साल से सिर्फ एक ही perfume use कर रहा हूँ. One perfume for the last 18 years. It doesn't matter what the perfume is because the next question people are like, कौन सी perfume है? Like उसमें कोई जादुई ताकतें नहीं है. Like it's just a perfume. My wife, on the other hand, has at any point of time at least 10 perfumes because she loves that variety. She loves to smell and feel different every day. And I was like, that's perfectly fine. Huh? That's just 2 different ways of looking at it. And she will always say, like, how can you wear the same perfume every day? And in my head, I'm saying, because I am an animal of association. Like, I love to form patterns, and I do know that every single one of us is also a pattern former. We do not do it consciously, or we may not do it consciously, but subconsciously, we're always forming patterns. So in my head, the pattern is that if I were to go into an elevator and somebody then steps into the elevator without me and they smell that perfume and they smelled it before, it's like, is Ankur Wariko here? Because that's the association. That is how I think. Why can't my perfume of 18 years become my association? Not because I'm not being creepy here, but the point is you add on to something which is repetitive to the point that it becomes habitual. And I do that. So I'd say you will have your time and your place to do all of these things, but the worst will be ignorance, that you didn't even know. So all of you know that being physically fit is important. All of you know that sleeping on time, waking up on time is important. All of you know that meditation is immensely helpful, particularly in today's world. All of you know that social media sucks and it's addictive. All of you know that your kids should not have a phone before the age of 18. Sorry, bro. All of you know that they do not know what to do in life, and our job is not to tell them what to do in life, but to teach them how to think about what to do in life. You all know that. I'm not saying anything that's new. You yet wouldn't do it, and that nobody can force you to. It has to be something that you discover one day and make it happen for you. And the day you do that, it's for you to win. But
patterns are changing, times are changing. We are not in that world anymore. if you see when you must have been studying and going, you would say, let's say you were in 10th grade, you would come home and, have food with your family and enjoy, play with your friends, do the bicycle. And what does a 10th grader do today? He comes, attends SAT ka class, AP ka class, ACT ka class. He goes for internships. He goes for these social projects which are of no relevance. So everything has changed. Education has also become a mafia. Then how do we tell our children that the old standards are good now?
I think the blame is entirely on parents. And let's be very cognizant of this fact. And I'm not blaming any one of you, but please do take the blame. 100%. The truth is कि बच्चों को नहीं पता कि उनको कौन सी ट्यूशन क्लास जाना है और कहाँ जाना है. हमने उनको वो लत लगाई कि बचपन से ही फुटबॉल भी सीखना है, टेनिस भी सीखना है, पियानो भी सीखना है, वायलिन भी सिखाई दो, फिर एक एबेकस की क्लास में भी भेज दो, फिर आर्यन वैदिक मैथ्स भी भेज दो, फिर साइंस तो होना ही चाहिए, एंड देन 1000 अदर चीज़ें. हाँ, एक लैंग्वेज तो बनता ही है, और रशियन क्यों नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि वो सबसे आसान लैंग्वेज है. तो लाइक it's just on trot. And then there is this completely unfiltered access to social media, which is a very, very different animal. Like when we were growing up, and this is a reality, when we were growing up, our entire comparison set were what? At best 50 kids. Kids that we went to with school and kids that stayed close to our house. That was a comparison set. Like the Delhi quintessential Sharma ji ka beta was actually someone that I would have known. Like Sharma ji ki bete ko dekho, itne अच्छे number आए हैं. Like I would say, हाँ, मुझे पता है कि रोहित के अच्छे number आए हैं. But today, the comparison set is the entire world. Yeah. It's the entire world. Every single day, they're looking at people immensely young who are striking it big in whatever form is big defined, whether it's money, whether it's the clothes they wear, the food they eat, the vacations they're taking, the cars that they get to drive in, blah, 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 blah. And if they see their parents also chasing the same things, also buying, and I know that most of us come from a family of means, but it's quite possible that most of you drive really luxurious cars. I cannot for the love of me, and I respect all of you, I cannot for the love of me understand why would someone ever buy a car worth 50 lakhs? What does that car do to you? Like what the F does that 50 lakh car do? What does it do? It only gives you status, which in your head is success. I drive a rented car, and I will always drive a car that just takes me from point A to point B, and that is the way that we will design ourselves. That's the same treatment that our kids are getting. They will go to a farm every weekend. We grow our own food. We love our kids to get dirty in the mud. We don't care if they fall sick in the rain. We couldn't care less if they are coughing left, right, and center in the pollution of Delhi. Please go and live that life, because that's the world you were born in. You cannot be living in an air-purified world and do all of that. I hate the fact that they're going to an air-conditioned school, so we make sure that they spend as much time outdoors. We take vacations, which are very luxurious, but we will never give them the sense that that is their entitlement. We will not set any money for them. Their education is paid for, and after that, they're completely on their own. All our wealth, if there is ever any, is going to go to a foundation, and somebody will run them, least of all them. Everything is super clear. And they just got lucky. Like the way we got lucky. Like I got lucky that I was born in a family that took care of me, gave me food, shelter, upbringing, love, education. मैंने उसके लिए कुछ नहीं किया था. मैंने कोई प्रार्थना नहीं करी. पिछले जन्म अगर कोई जन्म होता है तो कुछ किया होगा, लेकिन मुझे नहीं पता मुझे कुछ किया था कि नहीं. मैं अपने माँ बाप के परिवार में पैदा हुआ. उन्होंने मुझे बहुत प्यार से और बहुत अच्छे से रखा. Because of what I sit on opportunities that I take for granted. And millions of people outside of this fancy park hotel will never get to see even for a second of their lives. They're far hardworking than I will ever be. And a lot of them are far smarter than I ever imagined them to be. So who am I to say कि ये सब है? Sorry, I go on a completely tangent. But the point is, this is singularly the fault of all of us. We are making it happen. Every single time we throw a party to show what place we stay at, what clubs we have access to, what cars we drive, how big a wedding can we have, what is the latest jewelry and the bag that we have bought, which is the latest vacation we have just come from. Every single thing is just telling the kid, this is important. This shit is important. Because my parents are well-meaning parents. They have raised me. They have brought me to this world. तो अगर वो कुछ कर रहे हैं, वो सही होगा क्योंकि मेरे माँ बाप गलत नहीं हो सकते. So subconsciously you're going to add to that. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not complaining about it, and I'm not certainly on a moral high ground saying that that is right or wrong. But don't then complain that your kids have turned out the way they are. If they ask for a phone, you can't suddenly be on a moral high ground. Phone? Phone kaun mangta hai? While you are perpetually on it. Every single time, even while on dinner. Why would they not ask for it? वो गधे हैं क्या? नहीं, वो तुम्हारे ही बच्चे हैं. तुम्हें ही देख के. तो मुझे तो parenting is a whole new thing. मेरी 5वीं book parenting में होने वाली है. And I feel so passionate about parenting, and I feel that this is singularly, and think about it objectively, this is singularly the most important job in the world. Hands down. There is no other job. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि रॉकेट साइंटिस्ट रहे या ना रहे, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि बायोलॉजिस्ट हैं कि नहीं है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता फार्मासिस्ट है कि नहीं है, हम जिंदगी कहीं ना कहीं से जी जाएंगे या मर जाएंगे सारे, फर्क नहीं पड़ता. लेकिन माँ बाप अगर अपना रोल सही से नहीं निभाएंगे, ये दुनिया खत्म, खत्म. And nobody is teaching us that. There is no training for how to become a good parent. We all learn on the job. We all suffer from the trauma that we have had with our own parents, where they were emotionally unavailable, financially not skilled or whatever, not getting there. They were not emotionally regulated. Anything that they went through for no fault of theirs, it's just going on. Pushtani zameen se chale aa rahi hai. And we're just suffering the consequences of that. And somebody has to come in and just change that cycle. We can't be just saying, अरे मेरे बाप ने मुझे मारा था तो मैं भी तुम्हें मारूंगा क्योंकि ऐसी चीजें चलती हैं. You have to break it at some point of time. And you have to be nuanced about this, but we're not, because we are all animals and we are all unpredictable, emotional, biased people. तो बहुत मुश्किल होता है. The thing is, kids today will always be a reflection of who we are and what we teach them consciously and subconsciously. So if a kid turns out to be the way they are, I like 100% parents' fault. I see that. जब भी कोई होता ना, naughty kids is one thing, which could be cute. But then there are kids which are rude, disrespectful. They will never say thank you. They will wait for somebody to open the car door. They will never acknowledge someone who is financially weaker than them. They will never know what it is to say namaste to people, even people who are a guard or a maid or a gardener or a watchman. कहाँ से सीखा उन्होंने? भगवान नहीं सिखा रहा ये सब, आप लोग सिखा रहे हैं वो सब. And that's it. Game over. जाऊँ मैं? हो गया. ये like क्यों बुलाया इस इंसान को?
अरे we can continue till evening.
Oh, I can certainly, if only there was not an agenda.
So while we are at this, you also tell us about multitasking.
Yes.
It is such a competitive world with respect to adults as well. We have businesses, we have social lives, we have social media life, which is a separate projection on screen. And then we have businesses, we have business ideas that have to get into a startup form. And then we have so much. In the last 5 years, entire parameters of living a life have changed. How do we multitask all of it to have a seamless journey and a holistic pattern?
That's a great question. My way of doing it, which is the only way that I can prescribe to anyone, is do not try and attempt everything in a single day. It's pointless. We put a lot of pressure on a day for us to do everything that we want to do. एक ही दिन में पढ़ना भी है, भागना भी है, meditate भी करना है, बच्चे भी पालने हैं, खुद को भी पालना है, business भी संभालना है, सारी responsibilities भी करनी है, पार्टी भी करनी है, और social media भी check करना है. It's not possible because you have only 24 hours. But you put that pressure and then you start multitasking, and that multitasking fails because our brain does everything sequentially. It doesn't do things parallelly. That's how the brain is set up. So when you multitask and you feel that you're doing things parallel, which is, oh, I'm speaking to someone while also checking a text and listening to music, what the brain is doing is switching between one task to another, but in a very rapid fashion. It seems like parallel. But the brain is just completely getting burnt out. So what I do is expand the measurement. Instead of a day, make it a week. Instead of a week, make it a fortnight. Instead of a fortnight, make it a month. And say, in this period of time, let's say a week, I want to do all of this. So it's perfectly fine if you read for an hour only on a Saturday. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to read every day. You don't have to. It's perfectly fine if you play a sport for 2 hours every weekend. It's perfectly fine for you to meditate for, say, 1 hour on a Saturday. It's perfectly fine for you to meditate only 5 minutes every day, but do it every day. It's perfectly fine for you to say, I am only going to have one date night with my husband or with my friends and not try and do it every day. It's perfectly fine to say, I will ensure that I have time with my kids or my friends or anyone else once a week instead of trying to do it every day. But the job then becomes, in a week, accomplish everything that you would be proud of, that you would want to get done, instead of putting the pressure on a day itself to get it done. That's number one. Number two, and perhaps more important than this, is please recognize everything is a function of energy. When you say you don't have time for something, what you're essentially saying is, I don't have the energy for something. And that means the only thing you need to optimize for is your energy. Where are you getting it from? Where are you spending it on? The worst way to start your day is to spend it on things that suck your energy. So imagine you get up and the first thing you do is you open up your phone to check WhatsApp or worse, social media. What are you doing? You're essentially passing on the control of your energy to the entire world. Somebody would have said something which you have no control over, and it will throw you into a spiral. Complete unexpected spiral. And that's it. You start dispensing energy. From that get-go, तो खत्म हो गया दिन. दिन वापस नहीं आएगा. जा चुका है. In the first 15 minutes, if you're thrown off guard because of something that you read you have no control over, your day is gone. Instead, if you were to do things that truly give you happiness, that make you feel fulfilled, joyful, content, whether it's meditation, whether it's gardening, whether it's reading, whether it's singing, whether it's playing, whether it's doing anything, even spending time with people, start and plan your day with that. Because then that feeds you energy. And then you have energy to dispense on things that will be required, but you may not want to do it or have to do it. And that is how you maintain that energy balance of give and take. And the third thing in there, which is just so fundamental, but it's funny how many people ignore this, is in the middle of all of this, the two things that truly matter is, are you giving your body enough rest? So sleep. And are you giving enough energy from a nutrient perspective? Don't eat shit. Respect your body. And don't think that we are super men and women that we can just sleep whenever we want. We can wake whenever we want. It doesn't matter what time you get up, by the way. It's not necessary that you get up early because successful people do. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What is important though is you sleep and get up at the same time every single day. That's important. You don't mess with your body. You don't play tricks on your body. You're like, आज मैं 9 बजे सोऊंगी. आज मैं 12 बजे सोऊंगी. आज मैं नहीं सोऊंगी. आज मैं 11 बजे सोऊंगी. Because then your body is like, you know what? I give up, ma'am. मुझसे नहीं हो पाएगा. आपको जब सुलाना होगा सुला देना मुझे. मैं कोशिश कर लूँगा. आ गई तो आ गई, नहीं आएगी तो सुबह थक के उठेंगे, लेकिन जिंदगी फिर ऐसी जी लेंगे. You don't want to do that. You literally want to train your body to say X बजे off, Y बजे up, and ये हर रोज चलेगा. Now that will come as sacrifices. That will come as sacrifices. As I said, we sleep at 9, and that does mean that we have to say no to a lot of things that usually the world will. But I don't want to go and spend time with random people saying, I love you, do you love me? No, I couldn't care less. I'll value my sleep. I want to get up the next day, do my thing, spend time with my family, spend time with my audience. And that's the only thing. I don't want to go to a random place and just pretend that I have arrived and so on and so forth. So I'll say no, and rishtedaro se dur raho, sabse like. Sorry, huh? You'll go out and like.
I'm only worried that I've invited some of them tonight. They might just say, कि, sorry yaar, hum nahi aa rahe. You called somebody who said nahi jana raat ko. So, okay, never mind. Tell us about your courses, your books. How can we benefit more? Because 1 hour is not enough with Ankur Wariko.
Forget my courses and my books. I think I'm a technologist in the sense that I've built businesses in the technology space, and I love technology for what it does, and the internet is just such a wonderful thing if you use it right. Please use it. There is no age to stop learning. And I hope you recognize that. There is no age to stop learning. If you find yourself at a point where you're like, nahi, ab to zindagi ji li, ab kya farak padta hai, then that's it. Like, it's game over. But the world is ready to offer you whatever you want. And it's incredible the time that we are living in. That we have all grown up in a world where we did not have this access. To even buy a book would mean पता नहीं कौन सी library में कहाँ जाके ढूंढना पड़ेगा, and वो भी एक करके वो records होते थे जिसमें हम paper से S1 S2 S फिर S करके फिर एक book निकलती थी, फिर हम निकालते थे, फिर वो shelf number, row number, and then we go there, and now click, you have the entire book in front of you. It's ridiculous how we take all of this for granted. So please become a student. That's the only thing. Become a student. And if there is only one advice that you can offer the next generation, is don't ever stop becoming a student. Because the world is going to change. It is, how many of you here are below 25? Few of you. You're not going to die, bro. I hope you know that. You're not going to die. You're not going to die. I'm not being flippant here. You're not going to die. You will live for 150 plus years. And trust me, none of us here in this room know anything about living for 150 years. So you are learning things that will not help you in your life. You will have multiple relationships. You will marry multiple people. You have multiple partners. You will have multiple professions. You will have multiple careers. You will live and work on multiple planets. You will have multiple lives. And the only thing that will set you up for life is I know how to learn something new when I have to. That's the only thing that will set you up for life. So, like, I'm respectful of school and college, and I don't want to be dismissive of it. But school and college na kuch nahi karega zindagi mein. The only thing that you should learn in school and college, and I'm only speaking to him right now because all of you are, hum sab marne wale hain, farak nahi padna. The only thing that you should learn in school and college is how to learn something. The only thing to learn in school and college is how do I learn something without a school or a college, without an external intervention that forces me to study. Do it on your own, whether it's a course, whether it's a book, whether it's people, whether it's videos, whether it's anything else. And it's the same thing for all of us for however long we want to. Please keep learning. Don't stop. Just don't stop. There is just so much to learn. There's so much of joy. I look at my wife, and she's such a brilliant example of someone who's lived through so many different lives, and she loves changing herself every few years. She's, by the way, my manager. We work together. She handles all the business side of things for the brand. And we've been working together for 2 years. I didn't know it will be so much fun working with each other, but it has been. And before that, she's done so many different things, and I love the freedom with which she lives her life, because it truly means that she's not chained by anything. She's like, मैं ये सीख सकती हूँ, ये सीख सकती हूँ, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ, मैं ये कर सकती हूँ, करके देखते हैं, नहीं हुआ तो कोई बात नहीं, वापस वहीं आ जाएंगे, नहीं हुआ, like, भूखे नंगे तो नहीं मरेंगे. It's given for our life. We're so privileged. We're not going to die of poverty, hunger. We're not going to ever be on the streets. Our downside is capped. Our upside is infinite. It's the best game ever. Why would you not play this game every single day of your life? Your downside is capped. Your upside is infinite. Keep playing this game for the rest of your life every single day. That's what I would do.
This was brilliant. The downside is capped.
Yeah.
Brilliant. May we now open the floor for Q&A to our members.
Everyone's like,
Hello.
yes,
Yeah,
we have
right
a couple
there.
questions there.
Yeah.
Do we have a
Can
mic
we
there?
have the mics there,
Till the
please?
mic reaches, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Yes, yes.
Is
Please.
there a rule book for parenting?
Oh, no, there isn't any. There isn't any rule book for parenting. I think the only rule book of parenting is, please don't be a parent to your child. Stop being a parent to your child. That's the only rule book. And I mean it in the way that it is. Like, that's just it. Stop being a parent.
Yeah, we have that.
Please.
Hi, Ankur. Thank you so much for this talk. I have definitely a lot to take back as a parent of twins. Okay, so if there is one piece of advice that you could go back in time and give your younger self, what would that be?
It's the same piece of advice that I'm creating content for, which is, please make your choices in life from a point of awareness and not ignorance. And what I mean by that is, when you do make a choice, forget making the right choice, because there is no way to know whether you've made the right choice or not before you make the choice. You'll only get to know it after you have. Instead, what you need to do is, when you make a choice, you've made that choice from a point of awareness. You looked at everything that you could, and that's why you know why you're making that choice. As against, What we tend to do, particularly in our younger years, is make a choice out of ignorance. Number अच्छे आए, science ले लो. Business family से हो, commerce ले लो. Number अच्छे नहीं आए, humanities लेना पड़ेगा. It's just so stupid. It's just a way where it's so ignorant that we have no idea what it is to become an engineer or a journalist or a CA. We're like, दुनिया कर रही है, करो. Please make choices from a point of awareness. That's it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Ankur. Wonderful to hear you. Firstly, there are two pieces of content, or I would say suggestions that you had given in one of your videos. One was with BK Shivani, where you spoke to her about, you know, how everything is like Zepto is one example. Like everything, as you mentioned, kids these days, they will not have the patience to go and look for each book in the library and find it. So how everything is fast, and the response she gave was like, we are also not like that, how can we expect the children? So that is one. The second is when you said in your morning routine, the nothingness, that just sit without anything. I think that is one thing which I had never done. Like it was always either if I'm waking up early, I used to play music. I was like, okay, let's listen to the music, or I've woken up early, let's read a book. So, but that's something which is really helping to stay calm and to probably gain some energy.
That's beautiful.
But my question here is one, as you had ambition to be at the NASA, and then the startup came on, and then the education, how, like, is there any process, or is there anything which you do, or like, what do you think would help someone to find what they really like? Because in the monotony of life, you keep doing what you do, you don't really think a lot about what you're really passionate about or you love. In amidst all the responsibilities, we are at an age where we are responsible for our children and for our parents.
Can we keep the question brief, please?
Yes. So what is it that you can get passion?
I really feel that the way to, one, we don't find our passion. Please have a seat. We don't find our passion. Our passion is not hidden somewhere. It's not like under the sofa, behind the cupboard, कि हमने ज़्यादा fight मार के हम उसको ढूंढ लेंगे. Passion is to be built. It's to be nurtured. It's to be developed. And it's only over time that you realize that something that you've been doing for all this while has now become your passion. I don't think there is one singular point where you're like, ye raha mera passion and now I'm going to do it. And that's why the only thing, at least in my experience, that works towards it is to constantly be aware of what are the things that you love doing, what are the things that make you happy, and never stop doing them. Never find any reason to stop doing them. Constantly keep doing them. Goes back to the same thing that I was saying, that don't make, for example, your startup your only identity. Because if you did, you may be saying no to a lot more things that you could have done in life that you never realized may have become your passion at some point. So don't stop doing the things that you love doing, that you're good at, whatever they are, as trivial as they are. Don't put the pressure of making money from it. Don't make the question, how will it become my career? How will it become something that people are proud of or I'm proud of? How will it even help me in my life? None of that matters. You're simply doing it for the joy of it. You're simply doing it because you're good at it. And keep doing it. And just keep showing up every single day. And the next thing you know, it just takes you to a completely new journey that you had not set for yourself and now are so blessed to be in that you can now navigate it to perhaps even make it your career if you have to. But that will never be so obvious early on in life. So just stick it out and do it. One of my favorite quotes in the book, Do Epic Shit, is, the pro is the amateur who showed up every day. And that is who you want to be. कोई माँ के पेट से pro नहीं बन के आता है. They show up every single day, every single day, every single day. And one day they realize they're just so good at it that they can now become a pro. But did they know it on the first day that they showed up? Of course not. They were just as disastrous as anyone who would have done the same thing.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ankur. One last question for you. Sorry.
Just a minute, Dr. Neil, just give us a second.
Sorry, ma'am, just one second,
Yeah.
just one second.
Sure.
just give us few seconds?
Please, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it was interesting. Your title itself is very interesting. Be epic, be you. And you have graduated down to me, myself, my family. You have discounted relatives. My question is, how epic are you with your friends? Have they a role to play in your life?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be here without so many people that I have to acknowledge. The best thing about my friends is I don't have too many. So I love that because, again, as I said, I don't try and create a crowd in my life. I think of who's the one that I would love to be a part of all their life and would love them to be part of my life. And मेरी पूरी ज़िंदगी में मेरी best friend मेरी wife है. And then I have 4 other friends outside of it. रिश्तेदारों से मैं दूर रहता हूँ. माँ बाप मेरे माँ बाप हैं, दोस्त नहीं हैं. And मेरी बहन है, दोस्त नहीं है.
That's what I was surprised that you didn't mention friends, because in today's world, I think lots of us depend totally on friends.
Yeah, no, it is. It is a lonely world. It is a world where we need constant support. And my only objective is those 4 friends have known me for a really long time. So they are never enamored by who I have become. They're like, तू गधा है तो तू गधा ही रहेगा हमारे सामने. तो ज़्यादा चौड़े होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. And they keep me sane and they always keep challenging me. Like वो मेरे सामने आईना हमेशा रखते हैं, and that just makes it super awesome.
Wonderful hearing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another question.
We'll take the last question now.
This is the last question for the day, please.
Members, we have a choice, either pictures or questions, because he has only 10 minutes. So yeah.
Please.
Hi, Ankur. I'm Amrita. I'm an educator and a total believer of, following of routines. So since you have mentioned that you work only for 20 hours in a week, so how can you just take us through your daily routine so that, we understand how to do it rather than just what to do it?
No,
It will
sure,
be very
absolutely.
helpful. Thank you.
This is, I'll start by saying this may throw a lot of you off guard. This is nearly not the only way to live life, huh? तो प्लीज़ ऐसा मत सोचिएगा कि क्योंकि मैं ये सब कर रहा हूँ आपको भी अपनी ज़िंदगी में करना है. बिल्कुल नहीं. So this stunt is performed by a professional. Please don't try at home. So every single day, irrespective of my work, there is a morning routine that I have, which is sacrosanct to me. I get up between 4:30 and 5 every day. As I said, we sleep between 9 and 9:30 every day, so we have that nice happy time. The minute I get up, my first task, to the point that Ma'am was suggesting, is I have water for 15 minutes. एक glass of water, nothing else. कोई phone नहीं, कोई इंसान नहीं, कोई music नहीं, कोई किताब नहीं, कुछ नहीं. सिर्फ मैं, मेरे ख्याल और वो पानी का glass. 15 मिनट तक मैं आराम से पीता हूँ. People say it's like sipping wine. I don't drink, so I don't know what is sipping wine, but I think it is close to sipping wine. Like एक घूंट को अच्छे से महसूस करके. Then I meditate for 30 minutes. Then I read for 30 minutes. It's now 6 o'clock. My wife has left to play tennis at 6. She'll come back at 7. So 6 to 7, I have to get our kids ready for school. So Uzma, our 5-year-old, she's the only one who needs assistance. Vidur, our 11-year-old, he's now self-sufficient. तो वो खुद नहा लेता है वगैरह था, बस उनको उठाना होता है. उज़मा को मैं नहलाता हूँ, तैयार करता हूँ, सो वगैरह. And by the time I drop them at the bus stop, Ruchi is done. So she comes and meets them at the bus stop. And then I go to play tennis at 7. I get it done. I finish it at 8. Then I go to the gym. I spend time till 8:45 at the gym. Come back. 9 and 9:30, I read the newspaper. I love reading the newspaper. So I read the newspaper every day. That's my only form of news. I don't watch any news channel. Nothing. It's the worst thing you can do to yourself in your life. Don't watch news. Newspaper पढ़ लिया. And then 9 to 9:30, we used to have breakfast between 9 to 9:30, but now we have moved to a fasting routine, so we actually have a first meal at 11. So 9 to 9:30, kuch. 9:30 I sit down to work. Here's the fascinating part. When I sit down to work at 9:30, I've had 5 hours to myself, doing things that I love doing and would not trade for anything else. 5 hours before I even start my day to myself. That is wild. That just sets me up. अब कुछ ऐसा नहीं हो सकता unless किसी की मौत हो जाएगी, which will genuinely just shake me up. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला. कोई बोलेगा अरे देखो गधा आ गया है, ज्ञान दे रहा है, ये सब करेगा ना, ट्रोलिंग होगी सोशल मीडिया में, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. I couldn't be indifferent to that because I've done everything that I need to do to center myself. That's my morning routine, which is the sacrosanct piece. The work piece, Monday is when I shoot all of my content. All of my content that you see, entire week, we publish about 63 pieces of content across 5 social media platforms every week. All of that is done on a Monday itself. 3 YouTube videos, 7 shorts, 10 reels, 2 podcasts, 6 ads, all of that on a Monday itself. I go into my zone for 8 hours, I'm just shooting, my camera, me, and that's it. Wednesday, I write my weekly newsletter, which goes out on a Friday. Wednesday evening, I respond to some questions that people ask me on Instagram. Friday morning, I write a thread on Twitter. Friday evening, if I'm available, I do an Instagram live. And that is technically my work in the entire week. That is all that I work. उसके बाद अगर मैं social media पर time बिता रहा हूँ या कुछ कर रहा हूँ, वो मैं choice से कर रहा हूँ. It's not because I'm forced to do it. I have a wonderful team that takes care of it. As I said, I'm a animal of process and routine. तो हमारी पूरी machinery ऐसी चलती है as if हम पता नहीं क्या दुनिया उखाड़ रहे हैं. Like robots बना रहे हैं या Mars पे जाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, हम content बना रहे हैं. Like but everything is managed by a process and by tools and by software. Every single thing. I at any point of time know who is working on what, where are they in the entire equation, how long will they take to deliver it, when have they delivered it, what is the quality of that. Everything is measured. We don't work from an office. There is no synchronous conversation. We only meet once a week on a Monday at 7 p.m. as a team. Everyone works remotely. Everyone is independent in all parts of the country. We meet once every quarter for an offsite. We go for 5 days. We stay in 5-star hotels. We travel really nice. We eat really nice. We drink really nice. We have a lot of fun. I pamper my team as if they are my kids. I give them a lot of money. I give them a lot of perks. I give them a lot of benefits because they drive the entire engine. And that's how I run this entire outfit. So it's a...
Very good.
It's fun.
Yeah, any openings?
Yes.
We have a lot of CVs ready.
We're going to Srinagar next week for our offsite. So आप वहाँ हमें मिलिएगा, हम वहाँ interview करेंगे.
Okay. That's good. Okay. I will request the team to get the autograph sheet, please. As we wrap up this engaging and informative session, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our phenomenal speaker, Mr. Ankur Wariko, for his insight. We would like to extend our gratitude to our wonderful sponsors, the park, our hospitality partners, and RBC Worldwide, our creative partners. Thank you, press and media, for always supporting us and calling attention to the impactful programs conducted by Flow Hyderabad. Thank you, members. Thank you, teams who have worked tirelessly to bring out this event. And of course, to all our lovely Flow members who are present here, we always value you. Alone we are strong, together we are stronger. She is...